Welcome to the Fabulous 413. I'm Clee Smith.
And I'm Monty Belmonte. It's Wednesday, and the extraneous N in the middle of the word Wednesday stands for nerd.
It makes it sound like it's real damp. Wetness Day.
Wetness Day. That was a couple days ago, actually.
Oh, no. It's been most of this year. Let's not get into it. We're going to talk about fun nerd things.
Yes.
Coming up, we'll talk with comic book nerds Tim Blest and Mike LaRiccia about the new comic book they have authored and illustrated, Planeta Blue.
And Khalees is going to nerd out about tabletop games that might just be perfect last-minute gifts for the game-playing nerd on your list.
Hey, that's me. But first, our word nerd.
Emily Brewster, resident wordster from Merriam-Webster, our dictionary in Springfield. It is almost Christmas, and there are all sorts of Christmas carols on the radio with all sorts of lyrics that don't make as much sense in 2023 as they might have when they were written.
As opposed to all of us participating in Whamageddon, where I have died.
Yeah, Khalees lost Whamageddon. All those lyrics, last Christmas I gave you my heart, the very next day you gave it away. For those who don't know what Whamageddon is, if you hear Wham, George Michael's old band's version of that song Last Christmas.
It's their song.
You lose. Yeah. But I would just mean like Lucy Dacus has a version.
Last Christmas, I gave you my heart, but the very next day, I gave it away.
You don't lose Whamageddon if you hear.
So does Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Last Christmas, I gave you my heart.
Have you lost Whamageddon yet, Emily Brewster?
No.
Wow. Well, we're gonna fix that.
No.
We're gonna ruin. We are gonna make everybody lose it during this segment.
We're not.
Last Christmas.
Okay, I promise not to use Wham's version of Last Christmas in this segment.
There you go.
But Emily Brewster, let's talk about some fun words that have to do with Christmas because people have been celebrating it for an awfully long time, and the language has changed since the beginning.
It has changed since the beginning. Even some of the more recently written Christmas songs do use some kind of old-timey language. And I think it's because one of the pleasures of the holiday season, and Christmas specifically, is this idea of it being related to a past when lots of other people were doing similar celebrations over many years. And linguistically, there's something really interesting about the fact that all of the words we're going to talk about right now, except for one, are Germanic. This, as we have talked about before, the English language is at its core a Germanic language, but the one word that is not Germanic still came from them.
Huh.
And that word is the word Christmas itself.
So where does the word Christmas come from? I can see the Christ part of it.
And the mass.
Yes.
It means more Jesus in Spanish. Christmas.
Feliz Navidad.
Well, they were affected by the Roman Empire and later Christianized, as many parts of Europe were. So it's Latin, but it comes after the earliest Latin influence on the island, that is England. But the word Christmas comes from the impact that the Christian church had on the Germanic dialects that came over to the island.
What does the word literally translate into? What does the mass come from? It's not
That's
like the Catholic
mass.
Or
which
is it?
What
It
I would
is.
assume.
Yeah. Yep. It's the religious service.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
Why don't we have two S's
Yeah.
in it then? Because that's how you spell mass.
Yeah, well, English spelling didn't stabilize until really, well into the 18th and some into the 19th century. So it probably did have two S's at some point. It's, there's a long history of English smushing its words together and dropping some letters along the way.
So it's accidentally a portmanteau.
Yeah. It's the same process by which we got holiday.
Holy
Holiday.
Yeah, that one I
means
knew about.
holy
Right.
day.
What's some other fun Christmas words, Emily Brewster?
Monty, maybe you should sing. Should I ask you to sing if there's a word? That
Yes.
You know what the
Please.
Okay. Yule. Do you have a carol
Make
for
the Yuletide gay.
Yuletide for Rolltide.
Yes.
And I have some ideas of how to do that. We did that a couple weeks ago.
We did.
A lot of making the Yuletide gay.
We try.
Do you know the history of the word Yule?
He was another bald actor of note.
Etc., etc., etc.
No, I don't.
Yule Brenner. Right?
Yes.
No, Yule was the name of the ancient winter solstice festival that predates Christianity. The Old Norse festival was, it's spelled J-O with a macron over it. That's the line, L. And it was a pagan midwinter festival.
I think it's also a vape pen.
With a U.
Yeah.
I get you.
Proper U.
Yeah.
Why Yuletide? Or is that another portmanteau where it's like Yule tidings?
Yes, exactly.
It doesn't have to do with surfing during the holidays.
It's the little Saint Nick, little Saint Nick.
Although the Yuletide is high today.
No.
Or Alabama?
I mean, tidings.
Roll Tide.
Tidings are. Do you know what tidings are? Tidings of comfort and joy.
Keep going.
No, that's all I do. Yeah.
That's just greetings, right? It's wishes.
Yes, that's that contextually. That is an excellent guess at what it means, but it actually means news.
Oh, yeah.
And it's related to the word betide. Betide means to happen to. Tidings are happenings. It's news.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be tied.
If it's gotta be clean, it's gotta be tied.
So you can think of the angel who is comforting the shepherds who are so terrified at seeing an angel in the middle of the night while they're out with their sheep. Fear not, for behold, I bring you good tidings of great joy, which shall be to all people. I hear that in the voice of Linus.
Absolutely. Me too.
Yeah.
Lights, please.
To the credit of those shepherds, angels do have a lot of eyes and wings in weird places. So, like, of course they're afraid.
They were so afraid.
Yeah, they're not
Nothing-
cute naked
absolutely.
babies like...
Nothing's supposed to look like
yeah,
that.
they are horrifying, terrifying creatures if you read the Bible, which is awesome.
If
Makes
we're-
me like them more.
Right? If we're staying by that, it's no wonder why you moved on from making those sorts of things to like, maybe we'll just like tone down on the extra pieces for a while, see if we can get around that.
Right. And we've kind of culturally conflated them with Cupid. But these angels were bringing tidings of great joy, which means news. All right, how about God rest ye merry gentlemen? Can you do that one, Monty?
God
Or
rest
Khalees?
ye merry gentlemen, let nothing you dismay.
Remember Christ our Savior was born on Christmas Day.
Whenever that was.
To save us all from Satan's power when we were gone astray.
Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy.
Oh, tidings of comfort and joy.
Cha-cha-cha.
Should we apologize for giving
there's
everyone
no
an
cha-cha-cha
earworm?
at the end of that one. There should be, though.
You put cha-cha-cha at the end of all of them.
You should. Put cha-cha-cha at the end of every song.
So in that first phrase, God rest ye merry gentlemen, what do you think the word merry is doing in there?
Making people who don't like to celebrate Christmas uncomfortable.
Right, when we say Merry Christmas, that does that there too. But the word merry here is not doing its typical thing. Merry is usually an adjective, right? Have a Christmas that is merry. In this case, merry is not describing the gentleman. It is describing how they rest. So
like have
it
a
is
good
an
sleep.
adverb here.
Has it always been merry in that line, or did it used to be merrily and we shortened it so that the meter works better?
No, I don't think so. The song was written with that.
So God rest ye merry, comma, gentlemen,
Yeah.
as opposed
Yes,
to
that's
God rest
right.
ye, comma, merry gentlemen.
That's right. So we can think of it as, may you gentlemen rest happily. May you rest merrily.
I like that.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
much better line.
But it doesn't have the jaunty rhythm.
Yeah, you
God
have to
rest ye merry, gentlemen.
you spruce it up a
Yeah,
little
we can
bit.
swing it.
All right, this one's a little quieter. Well, silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright. Round yon virgin mother and child.
Round John Virgin. He was a portly kid that I went to school with. Round John Virgin.
Yeah, I think we're just going to let that one sit there, Monty.
Okay.
Yon is a shortened form of the word yonder.
Yeah, like over
Right.
there.
Yeah.
Not like
yeah.
a really tired or bored virgin.
No. It means yonder, meaning at some distance, over there. Sometimes it's spelled Y-O-N-D, but in the song, in Silent Night, it is round yon, Y-O-N. The idea of vision is key to this word. So we actually define it as at or in that indicated more or less distant place, usually within sight.
Where does the round part come in? Like you're going to go around over there, the virgin?
Well, I mean, it's gather around. I thought it was implying to gather round.
Or is she round because she's got a baby in there?
No, the baby's out.
Maybe not yet.
No, the baby's definitely out.
Yeah, because
I
mother...
understand it as being all is calm, all is bright around them.
Yes.
Okay. Also, this was in German originally, right? So it's all translated into English.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Stille Nacht.
I learned that from the Muppets.
On December 24th, 1818, the curate of a parish in Oberndorf, Austria, Joseph Mohr, gave a poem that he had written to a friend of his, Franz Gruber.
All right, hark.
Listen.
Hark the... Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. So hark the herald angels sing. By the way, it's not H-A-R-O-L-D. Like, it's not a name. I used to think it was when I was a kid. But,
For calling
Basically, herald angels are messenger angels, right? They are heralding something. And hark just means listen. It's usually used as it is here in the imperative as a command.
Hark, the Boston Herald Angels sing.
I'm surprised that the Herald never really used this as like a winter promotion.
Maybe they do, but I think the Herald doesn't really care about people.
I
So
mean,
maybe
they're-
they could do
whoa.
it. They could do it.
Shots fired.
They could do something like, we're going to raise money for kids and we're going to call it the Herald Angels. Nah, we're just going to put a tabloid on the front page.
Wow.
But before we leave hark, do you know what activity it relates to?
I'm going to say
Former-
golf.
No.
Like
No. No.
No.
Hunting with dogs.
Yeah.
So when you would tell your hunting dogs to hark back, it meant you were telling them to return along the path or retrace the route because when they've lost a scent.
Are you sure the word isn't bark that you're trying to look for there, Emily Brewster? We're talking about dogs.
They don't usually need to be yelled at to bark in my very limited experience with dogs. All right, what about deck? Are you
Well,
going to sing?
deck the halls with boughs of holly, fa la 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 la.
Decorate.
Yes. It sounds like it's a shortening of decorate, but actually the word decorate and the word deck have different origins. Decorate comes from a Latin word meaning ornament, and deck, again, not Latin, it comes from a Dutch word meaning to cover.
Oh.
My favorite line in that particular song is Troll the Ancient Yuletide Carol. That is the most archaic line ever. That's the basis of a children's book I have percolating in my head. I'm going to talk to acclaimed children's book author Khalees Smith about this.
I'm not acclaimed.
Off the air. I don't want anybody to steal it.
I'm not acclaimed.
Sure you are.
That's news to everybody listening, including
Hark!
me.
Khalees Smith has written a children's book called Sir Murray, perfect for your holiday gift-giving list.
Woohoo! Do you know what the troll means in there?
It means to like go on Twitter and talk smack about people.
We have three definitions for A, B, and C for the transitive verb troll: to sing the parts of something such as a round or a catch in succession. B,
That's
to
the one
sing
that I'm
loudly.
saying. Yeah, I
And
didn't know
C,
that.
to celebrate in song.
What was B?
To sing loudly.
Huh, that's so funny. Where do we get the little weird, troll creature and also the internet use of troll?
I mean, trolls
I
are not
know.
little, giant,
Yeah,
immune to
sense
fire.
progression in English is remarkable. It's crazy. The creature and it comes from an old Norse word that referred to a giant or a demon. That's the cute troll. And then the not cute troll is related to the fishing troll and the other trolls.
Yeah, Starship, we need to make it more pointy.
Did you say that?
And we made
Because
it
of the movie?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure there'll be plenty of that going on in 2024 on the
Let's
internet.
not encourage that sort of behavior, except for the singing bit. Go out and sing more.
Yeah,
Singing is good for you.
That would be fun. Like Randy
Yeah.
Rainbow is
Lights up your
trolling.
brain.
Randy Rainbow trolls and trolls at the same time.
Rudolph the leaky lawyer had a very slimy face.
Let's do more singing trolling.
Yes.
Yes. How about Don We Now Our Gay Apparel?
The best line in all of Christmas music. Come on. It's about wanting to dress in drag, which I think we need to do more of in 2024.
Play with gender. It's a construct. But let's just put on good clothes.
Yeah. Party clothes is what was probably intended by the person who wrote the song.
Yes.
We did do
Yes.
a Christmas card in all drag and put Don We Now Our Gay Apparel on there, and it was great. But we were slightly selective as to who received that card.
What's the opposite of Don? Do you know?
Dusk?
Shuck.
Doff.
Oh, that's
Oh,
right.
yeah. I love Dawn and
yeah.
Doff. That's awesome.
Don is really this use of Don
It's just
is a
on and
is a
off
con-
with D in front.
Dawn and Doff. I'm going to turn this light off. Oh, I got to turn it back Dawn.
This Don is a contraction of do on, and Doff is a contraction of do off.
So it really is just.
But you can don the light, you can doff the light if you want.
That's fun.
so awesome.
Yeah.
This next word is a word that sometimes people will, in Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, once again, as in olden days, happy golden days of
Your.
But there are some versions where people say yours instead, maybe not understanding, because the word your really is archaic. It means of the past, and the word is so much of the past that we don't use it in any other context, so it's really rather unfamiliar. Days of yore, it's calling back to a distant time. It's not just calling back to my personal days of yore, but maybe culturally days of yore.
Tales of the glories of Christmases long, long ago, to quote another Christmas song.
Yes.
Right. Some of these carols, some of these songs were written a long time ago. This one was written during World War II. And the idea is the nostalgia is also related to the people who are missing those who are far away.
I still stand by. That is my absolute favorite Christmas song. It's just heart-wrenching, beautiful. Judy Garland origins, Meet Me in St. Louis. It's got such beautiful melodies. Absolutely love it.
Are you going to use it when we talk about Christmas music too?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
There's a ton of going through the different versions of the lyrics of that song, not even just the your part like we're talking about. There's many different versions of it. Like Frank Sinatra thought it was too depressing in its original form, so he changed it to the one that's more popular now.
Really? Oh, I didn't know that. All right, I'll have to tune in.
Mm-hmm.
What about ye? Not referring to a person, a certain celebrity.
I'm really happy for you. I'm gonna let you finish.
This is the ye in Hear Ye, and in O Come All Ye Faithful, and God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen.
It's the old version of you, isn't it?
It is.
Right.
Yes. But it was originally only the plural you.
Right.
So it was specifically for referring to multiple people using the second person.
Singular they is older than singular you. We say this a lot when it comes to pronouns.
Yeah. We used to have thee and thou for singular, and ye and you for plural. And then, by the 1600s, you had taken over all of them.
I did not.
No. The word you.
Oh, I see.
Mm-hmm. Now, the ye that we see in something like Ye Old Candy Shop is not the same ye. Do you all know about that one?
I think I do, and I think only because we've had many conversations about language over the years. And that ye is like a mashup of the th sound, where it's actually the.
That's right. It is actually the. There's a now obsolete letter, a runic letter that was called the thorn, and it looks like a P with a top part to it.
So then why do we make it look like a Y now?
Well, the thorn kind of looked like Y, people thought.
Huh.
That's
okay.
At least we're not saying P Old Candy Shop, which is what would have happened if
P Old Watering Hole in Northampton.
No. Oh, no.
All right, the last one I have for you has no use in English aside from this one song, I think. Old Lang Syne, right? It's a phrase, 3-word phrase. It's just one song, one poem. You know what it means?
Like Days Gone By?
Old long ago, or old long since, sure, days gone by, the good old times. Yeah.
Old Lang Syne. And it's not even old, it's auld, right? A-U-L-D?
Well, yeah, but this is Scots, so.
Oh, gotcha. So that's what it comes from. It's Scottish?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, they get to do all kinds of things with English.
They're great.
Or with Scottish.
Well, thank you for a great year of words, Emily Brewster, and Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to you.
Yeah, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays and Happy New Year to you. I look forward to talking to you in 2024.
Yay! More words, more better. For a whole new year.
Coming up, more nerdery. Khalees Smith's holiday gift-giving Nerd Watch on the way with some last-minute gift ideas for tabletop games. And we'll nerd out with you, the listeners, who've let us know where to find the best holiday lights in the 413.
And up next, comic book nerds, Tim Blest and Mike LaRiccia, who have just authored and illustrated a new comic book called Planeta Blue that is both a dynamic superhero story and a cautionary tale for humanity and the environment.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
Welcome back to the Fabulous 413. Tim Blest is a socially conscious hip-hop artist that has been making relevant music with a message for over a decade. Born in Guinea-Bissau, West Africa to Cape Verdean parents, Tim has worked for over 18 years empowering youth. He is a graduate of UMass Amherst, majoring in legal studies and minoring in African American studies and sociology. His music and message are about social justice, sustainability, and climate change, and are designed to inspire the audience towards positive change and global responsibility. And he has just authored a new comic book called Planeta Blue.
Mike LaRiccia is the illustrator of Planeta Blue. He's a graphic designer, illustrator, comic book artist, and writer, also a UMass Amherst alum. He received a BFA and MFA in printmaking. In 2005, he was a recipient of the Xeric Grant, an award for comic book self-publishers, and has published several titles, including one that I'm interested in, Grayskull Grindhouse, which looks like it put the graphic in graphic novels via the Masters of the Universe He-Man stories.
Planeta Blue, Rise of a Goo is a fantastic Afro-futuristic graphic novel adventure that tells the tale of New Bedford inner-city youth Laris, her brother Angel, Tome, and Tyler as they try to save humanity and animal kind from the apocalyptic plans of Xander, oil tycoon, billionaire, turned evil world conqueror. There's a little family connection there between the sides of good and evil. And I should also mention, this is not a single comic book. This is the first in, it looks like a longer series. This is just the first compilation of the first story arc.
Yes.
Right.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, we're so happy to be here.
Thank you for having us. Oh my God, it's amazing. Yeah, we're really excited where we're at with Planeta Blue. It's a dream come true. Took a while to come out of this mind and onto the paper, 5 years to be exact. But really started as just, with my kids, bedtime stories, and then just, took on its own life. And, here we are, 6-7 years later. Finished copy.
7 years is about what I'm used to with books coming out that have illustration.
Yes.
How did you two match up? How did you get together to work on this project?
Yeah, well, it's so serendipitous because I have a friend who went to school with at UMass, and she knew I was writing this book, and so I had already written it, and I was looking for an artist, and she knew an artist who happened to be her neighbor.
She was my only neighbor. Let me just add that I have one house next to me.
Where do you live?
Well, I live in Amherst now, but back then I was in Hadley, so I was right on the edge of the road. So it was the road, woods, and one neighbor. So.
And it was funny because she's
Destiny.
like, this guy's an artist, he's amazing, and sometimes people say that, and they're not always that amazing, right? So I was like, do you got something that I could see? And they're like, yo, here's his website. I went on there and I was blown away because Mike's art is amazing, as you all could see on the book. And so we met up. And what was important, because I've been a music artist for a while, working with bands, used to having talented people around me, but not everyone is cool, right? Not everyone, some people aren't that cool. They're talented, but not that cool. But Mike was the whole package. His principles, his core values really aligned with me. And I was like, I hope this guy will agree to do this huge book and draw it because, it's a lot of work.
But it's got, it's been published by Dark Horse Books, which is
a big imprint.
Yeah, imprint. A
We're
lot
so
of awesome
excited.
stuff that they've done. The Buffy stuff is what I've read, or Avatar books,
Hellboy.
Last Airbender, all sorts of good stuff there. We're speaking with the author and illustrator of this new graphic novel, which could be perfect for the holidays, Planeta Blue, Rise of a Goo, Tem Blest, and Michael Laricchia. Tem, you said you told this as kind of bedtime stories to your kids. Tell us what the story is about. We haven't really gotten into the details about what this story's about.
Yeah, so it's about these inner city youth from New Bedford, where I grew up, who are just out there on a regular day, similar to my past life as a youth worker. And so the first few pages are taken right out of my life working with these young people, and deals with Laris, Afro-Latina girl, her brother Angel, and we probably all know an angel. They're not always angels, right?
No. And sometimes they have 1,000 eyes and feathers and craziness like they do in the Bible, like we were just talking about.
Nice. And so they're just out there on a regular day, just kind of doing what kids do, kind of, razzing each other. And then all of a sudden, you hear this sound, and there's these planes going overhead, and they're just dropping this toxic gas on everyone. And come to find out, because they're standing in the ocean, water, right? The water's life. We know this. And so they're not affected, but people on shore are. And before you know it, they look and they see what looks like fins, shark fins. And they're like, what's going on? They get knocked underwater. And it's this tribe of dolphins, all tattooed up, glowing, and they've come to save these young people.
And this is like the first 7 pages of the book.
We're not
So-
giving anything away.
It's a long book.
This is the build-up. So
Tip top of the book.
Yeah. And it's just they get whisked away on this fantastic Afro-futuristic tale where they really have to fight for humanity, fight for animal kind against this oil tycoon billionaire Xander turned evil world conqueror. Along the way, they get powers from animals, and they can talk to animals. And it's really a beautiful story of love, sacrifice, compassion, and not to give it away, but it's supposed to be inspiring. So it's not a tragedy. So at the end of it, you're not going to feel sad. You're going to be empowered.
Yeah. No, there's some surprises for sure, but like I loved how simultaneously you have like Chosen One as like archetype happening, and then with Angel, like kind of a redemption arc there, like happening simultaneously with these two siblings. I was mentioning to Monty that like when you got siblings, often with little brother ones, there's always the little brother goes on a quest, little brother messes up the quest. Everyone has to deal with the fallout. It's like, and when will you stop messing things up? And there's a little bit of that, like to good end in this. Like I mentioned, like there's a bit of a redemption with him and other characters that come into play. I thought it was really interesting, like just on a base level, finding out about this book, making those parallels between environment, animal conservation, and equity. Like that it comes right at the very beginning, frankly. But like, was that something that you always put into this story for your kids?
Definitely. I mean, they know who I am. I've been an activist for years. My music has always been social justice driven and socially conscious hip hop, if you will. And so they knew that this is what's important to me. You know, I look at the world like most people and like, we got to do something about it, right? I'm never been one of those people just to trust, you know, in our leadership. You know, it's like, you know, you're like, they got to do their job, but I'm going to do my job too. I got to do my job. And so it was really interesting to see that I set out just to make this a fun story, especially when I was telling it at bedtimes. It's just like to entertain them, but they stayed awake. They weren't falling asleep, which wasn't the best idea, but they were really engaged in it. And it just kind of told itself. You know, I really felt like I was tapped in, I was plugged in. And this story, because I wanted to go back to the music, it kept like knocking on my head, like, you got to finish the story. It's important. And then the environmental thing just came into it because it just was what was necessary, I felt, to be told. And I'm glad it came out that way.
We're speaking with Tem Bless, the author, and Michael Aricia, the illustrator of Planeta Blue, Rise of a Goo, a new graphic novel. How old are your kids now, Tem? And what do they think about this bedtime story when you look at it in this glorious, you know, soft-bound but glossy, beautiful illustrated graphic novel published by a major comic book publisher?
Yeah, and the smell is so good.
Oh, yeah.
Let's
smell
take a sniff.
Can you smell at home, listener? It does smell good.
Do good.
Smell the colors.
So I have a wide range, right? So my youngest is 5. I got a 13-year-old, a 22, and a 24-year-old. And so they all love it. What's awesome is I've been able to take certain parts of their lives also. One of my son's his name is Rasta, and there's a character called Pumra in it. And so I wanted to put that in there, you know, just as a nod to him. And I'm doing an audiobook, and I'm like, I want you to voice this. He's like, no, Dad, I can't do it. But he has such a great voice and such a cool kid that I'm like, you got to do this part. And, you know what I mean? But they love it, and it's great to see their reaction, and especially Rasta, because I had him read it. I was like, I want you to read it. You know, he had a book report assignment, and, you know, like a lot of kids, some kids love it. They just tear it up. They read through it. They're like, this is amazing. When's part 2 coming through? He was like a little bit more hesitant. He read through it, and I was like, what did you think? He's like, actually, it was pretty good. You know, like,
that's about the highest praise you can get from the kids.
You know, so much emotion.
It was
a kid that age.
And then he said, I would love to see it as a movie. He's like, I could see it as a movie. I was like, yes.
The whole time I was thinking the same thing. Not that the drawings aren't enough. They are.
No, I mean, that's when I make the book. I'm imagining it as I'm a cameraman setting up the shots for a movie. That's sort of how it goes for me.
And you did amazing with that. We're going to talk more about the illustrations in just a minute. We're speaking with Tem Blest and Michael Aricia, author and illustrator of Planeta Blue, Rise of a Goo, a new, incredible graphic novel made by these two local cats.
You're listening to The Fabulous 413 on NEPM.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Northeast Solar, offering solar options, energy security, and solutions for the local community. Learn more at northeast-solar.com.
Welcome back to the Fabulous 413. I'm Monty Belmonte.
And I'm Khalees Smith.
And we are speaking with the author, Tem Blest, and illustrator, Michael Laricchia of Planeta Blue, Rise of a Goo, a new graphic novel about a group of inner-city youths suddenly gaining the ability to speak with animals and using that power to save the world. And we've talked a lot about the story here, and I want to talk about the illustrations here. Michael Laricchia, you're not used to being in the public eye like this, so this is your
That's right.
Your first time on the radio.
Second public appearance in this sort of capacity.
I'm loving it.
Right on.
And you're on stage for the first time
yesterday. Yeah. And it was funny because, Tem's an amazing performer, and he doesn't know this, but I look to him for sort of strength when coming out and like being in public and stuff when I get out of my cave, I'm not leaning over, a drawing tablet. But he was performing. We were performing for a theater arts performing school in New York, and
the Bronx.
Yeah, he comes out and he just does. He hypes everybody up. And at the last song, he's like, "Yo, Mike, maybe you should be on stage and you can be like the hype person." And like, I don't even know the song you're gonna sing. And I'm like, what do I do? Like, just kind of like
put your hands up.
But what's funny is like I love hip hop, and in my UMass Amherst days, I used to record with my friends in my room, and we would like have a little cipher going. So I always had that fantasy of being on stage. But I went up there, and I don't know if it was embarrassing, but I enjoyed it. And the kids seemed to like it. And, Tem didn't seem embarrassed either. So I think that was a win.
Loved it.
Yeah, if nobody was embarrassed, you succeeded. Good job.
Everybody had a good time.
Feeling good.
Yes.
So talk about your illustrations here. How are you drawing and then painting? Are you doing it digitally? Tell us how the process works a little bit.
Absolutely. So this was an amazing book to work on, just to say, because there's so many cool visual things that happen in it that are unusual. The actual technical way I'm working on this book is it's all digital, so it's all on a Cintiq tablet that goes, on Photoshop. I'm using Photoshop to do all the coloring and the inking and stuff like that, which lends itself to a quicker production time. So, because I did this book in a year, so we did a
It's like 268 pages.
Yeah.
Looking at like single issues and what the single issues look like, and that's like 8 issues.
Yeah,
that's
no,
a lot.
we talked about dividing it up, but we're going to, we started this as a crowdfunder for the initial printing of the book, which now it's printed by Dark Horse, but we wanted to commit to his story that he had written, and just like, let's just put it all into it. And so working digitally works really well, especially because it was remote during the pandemic, so I could just go back and forth with Tem. So, so yeah.
How far along was the story when you came in?
It was finished.
Oh, it was done.
Yeah, so he gave me a 100-page manuscript.
Oh wow!
Did any of it change while you were working on it?
No. Well, I mean, there were small details that would go in because after he would see it visually, because in the manuscript he'd have to describe things, whereas I was like visually just embedded in the story and saying, hey, if they're walking up to this beach with all of these bodies or something, wouldn't there be like all these animals flying around and stuff like that? So because I was sort of engaging the content visually, it brought this really great partnership of, and now he's returning to it and saying, oh yeah, I didn't have to think of it that way because that how I originally wrote it. So it was a great, it's great working with him because he really let me be artistically free in how I went with the material. So.
And it really does pop on the page. It's a beautiful, beautiful book.
Yeah, Khalees and I were both looking at it digitally earlier, but then when you arrived in the studio today, we got a hard copy of the book, and it's night and day. It's designed to be read like this in a book form.
I always push the physical copy because the artist has control over the scale of the medium, right? So there's an intention of, I want you to read it at this scale. I want you to pace yourself through it in a certain way with like double page spreads, and stuff like that. So I'm always pushing for that if people can get the physical copy. So
the book is called Planeta Blue, Rise of a Goo. It's by Tem Blest and Michael Laricchia. Before Khalees asks another question, I want to know, whose decision was it to put one of the lead characters in a Wu-Tang Clan shirt?
Yeah, Wu-Tang forever. It was mine, yeah.
Whose idea was it to put somebody in like a Bruce Lee-esque jumpsuit at the end and then make sweatshirts that have the stuff
This is
on?
all Tim. This is his genius.
When I saw the real pictures of you in these yellow and black Bruce Lee style sweatshirts, I was like, I gotta figure out I gotta get one of those.
We are water. You be water, my friend, as Bruce Lee said. That's I'm a kung fu fan, Wu-Tang fan to the day I die. I even crowd surfed at a Wu-Tang concert in Providence one time. Got thrown on stage. Capadonna looked like he wanted to fight me. I was like, so I'm a Wu-Tang. I'm
for
a
the
Wu-Tang
children.
head. No, like we ain't fighting here. I'm with you guys, And
one must protect their neck while they're
they were
crowd
protecting
surfing.
the neck for.
I'm in your camp. This was not on purpose.
Yes, not on purpose at all. I love
doing
the
this 'cause I
Wu-Tang.
love you.
Yeah. We're going to talk more about Kung Fu movies. And our second guest ever on this show was Jizza. So that's kind of amazing.
Yeah, nice.
Oh, no.
Good company.
Yes.
Give me a sec.
Okay, I want to hear more about the. So this really is a cautionary tale. I mean, so many of the
Yes.
things that happen in this, the billionaire rogue actor,
Yeah.
the fact that we're on the cusp of nuclear war in reality, and the environmental disaster that we're facing day in and day out. What's the reaction, Ben, especially from young people when they read this? Are they getting the idea that you're basically saying in this, hey, you kids, you got to fix this for us?
Yeah, it's up to you. It was so great because being in the Bronx, the birthplace of hip hop, we're celebrating 50 years, to have these young people ask that question, like, why are you doing this? And I'm like, I want, the point is not that I'm going to change the world, but ideally it sparks, right? Just like Pac said, right? I'm not the one that's going to, start the revolution, if you will, right? In quotations. But I will be, I promise this will ignite the mind that will, and so the plan is that this book right here ignites the mind of these young people to say, like, yes, I can do it. Just like these characters in here who had, against all odds, to step up in some kind of imaginary, fantastic tale. But as you mentioned, like, there's like the threat of nuclear war here, and I intentionally put that in there so that people could feel that. As a child growing up in the 80s, that was always like in the back of my mind, and as a real fear. And it's like, how do we strive towards world peace? How do we get to a place where we're thinking about the planet holistically? Not just for human beings, but the animals too, and how we're all interconnected, whether it's the bees or the trees. Like, I am the bee. Pollinate truth if you choose to see.
Right.
Pollinate the youth to truly be free. Pollinate love, let's all agree. I am the bee. So they get it. These kids get it. They know the world they're living in. They just don't know how are we going to do this? And it's like, well, y'all got to do it. Y'all are the ones that give us hope. And so they are getting it. They're excited about it. The main character, Laris, was based off of one of my students. And I was like, could this character really do that? Like, stand at in the halls of Atalantis and give this impassioned speech that vibrates the water and speaks with truth. And I'm like, Jaylee could. I believe Jaylee could. And so she's actually voicing the audiobook too, so which is so great. I'm so excited about that. So that's what gives me strength to say, like, this work is grounded in reality and something that's happening, but also the magic that is the world that we still live in. There's magic all around us. So
can I add one more thing to what you said? I think one of the great things about his story is that I feel like with our generation, the idea of like climate change was this sort of like slow burn, like we got to get ready for this, like it's coming.
And we're like 40-ish is what
I
you're
know,
talking
yeah.
about, right? Yeah.
But
Not realizing it was already
it's like,
here,
well,
we were
it's
in the middle.
coming.
Yeah,
But,
we're Gen Xers.
Let's start thinking about it. But with his book, it's like, it's now.
Yeah.
And now we got to deal with it. And I think kids of that generation, they're like, wait a minute, we're in an existential crisis right now. Like, it's happening now. And so that's what I love about the book is I think kids will be like, people are just anxious about what's going on in the world. And the book empowers youth to be like, look, there is a lot of influence you have when you get together about a main cause like that. And I think that really comes across with the story. For me, that's what I kind of pulled out of it. I was working on it.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to talk about that audiobook in a second, for sure.
Yes,
But
right.
I had a question about like writing this and the animal characters especially, because like there's this whole society of them coming together and basically talking about it's like, did you see what those two kids did to like my friends? But were you ever worried with the voicing of the animals that you were making them too human in the way that they interacted with your main characters?
Yeah, there definitely was a concern about that. I just really wanted to lean into this idea that the animals are aware, right? Because when I look at a dog or a cat or a horse or any animal, really, I feel like there's something staring back at me, right? There's a consciousness, there's an awareness. The fact that I go out and these animals are scattering because they're afraid of humans, right? They even did like a study that, I think it was like sheep or something. There was a certain animal that, that eat herbivores. They played them a lion's roar, and then they played the human talking, and they were more frightened by the human speaking than they were by the lion.
Human.
Yeah.
I did everything right. They indicted me.
I knew it was coming, and I couldn't stop it.
Yeah.
Now there's two of them.
I know.
We're Italians. We can't help ourselves.
Well, always stuck with me because I'm a sci-fi guy, right? So I'm like, if we were to go, Elon Musk, let's go to Mars. If we went to Mars, right, and found any of these animals that are here on Earth there, we would spend so much time like trying to talk to them and understand them. Probably just take their land and kill them. But
We do have
Not at first, though.
Not at first. At first, they're trying to talk to them. But we have all these animals here. We got a beautiful ecosystem, right, that we can take care of and be stewards for. Why don't we just do that? And so I really wanted to imagine, what would an eagle, right, named Harriet, a bald eagle named Harriet Tubman, based off the Harriet Tubman, what would she say, in her infinite wisdom? And I felt like they would say some really powerful things. And what was fun in writing it was I had these, some of them had a southern drawl. They were talking, some sounded very South African. So I can't, I'm really excited about, the other iterations of the book. And I hope that the readers, when they're reading, are creating these voices, in their heads as they're reading it too.
So are you in the middle of taping this
Yes.
audiobook? You're still casting it. It's still coming together.
Ooh. Yes.
That's wicked cool. Especially because I feel like comic books really lend themselves to this medium. It's almost entirely speech bubbles. It's just people talking.
Yes.
And then action scenes that can easily be described. But were you always imagining people speaking this into the existence too?
I was imagining it being a film from jump. I didn't and a live action film. I don't know. I think it was Percy Jackson that came out. I was like, that's really interesting. But then the Jungle Book movie, I was like, oh, they could actually make these things, these animals look like really animals, and they're not singing and dancing and on their on 2 feet. They're actually on 4 feet doing this. And I was like, yeah, this could happen. And then what I started doing was, with the first iteration of this, and people would be like, oh, could you come and do a book signing? Would you read? And I'm like, I don't want to read. I want these voices to be the youth. And so we'd always get some young people. And even yesterday at the Bronx, we had some of these talented youth, some of them who are actors, go up there and act this out. And they had some background, sounds and going through the sound effects.
That's great.
It was amazing. So I can't wait for that to come out next year. So next year, that's dropping.
Nice.
We can't wait to hear it. We'll have you back on again, maybe, and then you can narrate or something like that.
I'll do
Mike,
whatever
who's
I'm
the
called to do.
illustrator. Tim Blest, who's the author of Planeta Blue, a new graphic novel that is unbelievable, a cautionary tale, a superhero tale, an environmental tale, a racial justice tale, a lot of history, a lot of background information on the names of the characters in the back, beautifully illustrated by Michael Laricchia, both of whom reside here in the fabulous 413.
And again, the beginning of a longer journey. This is book 1.
Yeah.
There's more coming.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think it's exciting.
The story keeps going.
We're going to nerd out a little bit more. Khalees is going to give us some board game recommendations, but since you, Mike, have worked on a board game, you want to hang out and talk with us still more about Khalees's board game nerd recommendations?
Absolutely.
All right, that's coming up next on the Fabulous 413.
Don't tell me our youth is running out.
Welcome back to the Fabulous 413. Khalees Smith is a total nerd, and we
Giant
used to
nerd.
do a segment on my old
Raised
show
by nerds.
called Nerd Watch, where we would talk about nerdy things that are going on and or available. And since it's the holiday gift-giving season, you may have a nerd on your list, like my children, who like to play games. And so Khalees has some Nerd Watch board game recommendations for you, for gifts, or for whatever.
Yeah, I have them in kind of different categories. Small ones, I have a good co-op that will help with your quarterbacking problem in case you're not into co-ops, because people try to tell you what to do on your turn.
So co-op games, you're not trying to win. You're trying to work together, but kind of somebody
in order
needs
to win.
Yeah.
But sometimes
Yeah, right.
someone thinks that they're in charge of the team, and this is a game where you can't do that. Actually, let's start there. So the game is Intrepid, and the game works like this. You are scientists of various countries on the space station, and you have to work together to make sure that you A, survive, B, finish maybe your research. Despite that, like, you know, there's sometimes asteroids coming through and like other terrible things happening, like you may be running out of air. So like you have this dice pool that you need in order to do certain actions, and you as like an individual, it's asymmetric, so everybody's got different abilities. You can manipulate your dice in a certain way. But, like, you need your teammates' dice to do things for you, too, because you have a limited supply, they have a limited supply, but we all need to survive on this space station. So it really means that, like, you have to be aware of what you have, what you need, and they have to ask you for things that they can get from you and your help. And you really cannot just dictate what the team does, because if y'all ain't working together, no one's getting off of this thing.
Is it timed?
It's not timed, which is really good, because, no, we would all die. But it does really force you to work, like, to think differently about how your dice work, like how your mechanics can dovetail with your teammates, and it's just really, really well done.
It's called Intrepid?
It's
I love
Intrepid.
that it's like a science. You know, it's basically solving a problem. You know, not like attacking somebody or trying to.
Yeah.
Like that International Space Station movie that's coming out. That
it makes me
nervous to watch it.
uncomfortable.
Yeah, I know. What's your next holiday or just any time board game recommendation?
So the next one, and I think I've recommended it on NerdWatch before, but it is just a really great, easy one to pull out at any time. It's Red 7. You can find this in a lot of places. It's a card game. There are 7 colors and 7 numbers. A combination of those will be in your hand. And the only rule is that you have to be winning at the end of your turn. But the cards all change the rules, and you're looking for the best combination of things to have in your tableau. So, like, you'll play things out in front of you and change the rule, or just play something so that you're winning by whatever rule is there, or you'll just change the rule so that whatever you have in front of you makes you win. And you go until somebody can't win anymore. And that's the whole game. It's really fast. Like, the rounds are about like 10 minutes, and it's like easy and quick and done.
I like fast games.
Yeah, me too.
My son Michael, he can only handle a certain time frame, so we try to find fast games that we can go through.
Okay, then I've got a
Red
recommendation.
7 is the one to do. Okay.
I've got an even better recommendation for you. This game is called Chicken, and it is my favorite dumb thing to just bring out because it's piles of fun. The rounds are 5 minutes, and the rules are real easy. You're just trying to hatch chickens. You have these dice, and you roll them. They show either a blank face, a chicken, an egg, or a wolf, and you're trying not to max out on your wolves because they'll eat your chickens, of course. And you play, like, chickens are points, eggs get you more dice. So eventually you could be trying to roll, like, not a whole bunch of wolves on 12 dice. Good luck to you.
Yeah.
But what happens, you can stop at any point during your turn when you think that you've gotten as many points as you feel safe to have. And then all the dice you have, you pass on to the next player. They got to start with that.
I feel like you give the directions better than the actual directions. I feel like I could just play this game
Don't try to
now.
read the directions. Just ask Khalees to explain it.
Well, we also, like, for the game night that I will be going to this evening at the Brass Cat in East Hampton every other week, Start Playing Games does their games there. But one thing that we've always mentioned is that, like, if you can't explain the rules in about, like, 10 to 15 minutes or less, then either something's wrong with the rule system or, like, you probably should go back and get a little more comfortable with it. So for these where I'm pretty comfortable with, like, how they work, it's easy enough to explain. Plus, like, spreading around the love of games means that there's one more person I can invite to my house when I'm short a player.
Do you want to do one more game? Since we probably don't have time to do the holiday lights. For everybody that emailed today saying we were talking about what your favorite holiday lights are, I said if we don't run out of time, which we basically have.
Well, I'll mention a series that has a bunch of really good entries. Not so good for people with small kids in their house, but the Tiny Epic series is pretty great and has, I think they're up to like 15 or 16 entries now, the latest of which are Tiny Epic Vikings and Tiny Epic Crimes. Some of them are co-op, some of them are not. They all have very solid mechanics, all play in about like 30 to 40 minutes, different themes, like there's a Tiny Epic Dinosaurs, there's a Tiny Epic Quests for those who want to go on a dungeon crawl, like there's Tiny Epic Western, and like all of them are really fun, and the box is maybe about like 6x4, fits right in a bag, like very, very easy to pick up, easy to teach, easy to play.
The Tiny Epic series, Chicken, Red 7, and Intrepid, Khalees Smith's Nerd Watch. Board game recommendations. There's a board game event tonight at the Brass Cat.
Indeed, you will see me there.
In East Hampton, and Khalees Smith will be
I have
there.
a bag of games in my car right now, but there's always a bag of games in my car. Like, literally, I have a problem.
And thanks for continuing to hang out with us, Michael Laricia and Tem Blest, the authors of Planeta Blue, another awesome nerd gift, this incredible new graphic novel.
Indeed. Pick it up from someplace local and support, like, both local artists and your local bookstores.
Yeah.
Hey.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Thursday on the Fabulous 413, we will have shameless plugs.
But not entirely shameless. Khalees's band, the Soul Magnets, is opening up for Mystic Bowie next week. We're speaking with the reggae legend Mystic Bowie, who'll be playing one of the last shows at Gateway City Arts in Holyoke.
His story is amazing. We'll also hear from two of the local musicians who are playing with him, Dan Thomas and Jay Metcalf.
Plus our weekly chat with U.S. Congressman Jim McGovern. Got one last question for him in the last McGoverning with McGovern of the year. Email us, thefab413@nepm.org.
Plus, we'll get into our favorite holiday songs, talk about the lights finally, and maybe some more holiday favorites. You never know.
You never know. I'm Monty Belmonte.
I'm Khalees Smith. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the Fabulous 413.